Okay, I can see the chats now. Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Good evening, guys. Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? I can see the chat, but I think the chat's a little delayed today. Hello everyone. I think the chat's a lot delayed because I cannot see anyone chatting. Come on, guys, give me a hi. Give me everyone. Come on. Hi, Karthike. Hi, Amritanshu. Everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible. Can you guys hear me? That is great. Okay, I think YouTube chats are like a lot delayed nowadays because previously it was like 3 to 4 seconds. Now like it goes like around 10 seconds. But that's cool. That's really cool. Okay, so I can see the chats now. Okay, now I can see everything properly. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Good evening, and I welcome back you guys again to the JavaScript Essentials Day 2. And today we are going to have a lot of fun because we are going to do like quite cool things. So good evening, everyone. Happy to see you guys. I'm really happy to see you again in the JavaScript Essentials. That's great. Okay, so I think your Essentials started yesterday, and I think you completed variables and conditions, I think, right? Everyone, come on, tell me. Can you guys tell me what do you guys completed yesterday? I think you completed variables and conditions, right? And I think a little bit of like DOM manipulation as well, right? You guys also completed how to like print something on the browser and how to like print some HTML, right? Till variables. Come on, everyone, let me know. Please tell me what are the things that you have guys have completed. Okay, you learned inner HTML till variables. What about conditions? Everyone, variables. Okay, DOM. Don't worry, we'll talk about DOM. Don't worry about it. I'm going to talk about DOM. I'm going to explain you what exactly is DOM, and we're also going to start with DOM manipulation. So I'll also teach you the basics of DOM manipulation. So don't worry about it. So operators, if else, and variables. So basically, you completed variables and conditions, right, everyone? Variables and conditions. Okay, that is really cool. That's cool. That's cool. So I really hope that you understood everything and you also enjoyed. And today, so now I know that like what are the topics that you have completed. So today we are going to move ahead and I'm going to teach you arrays. I'm going to teach you loops because those are the two really important things. And then we'll also move on to objects. So we'll try to complete these three topics today. And you should understand that these three topics are the most important topics in JavaScript. I think everything is important, but these three are like one of the most important because arrays and objects are one of the like really very important things. So we're going to see them today. Okay, and we're also going to understand about loops. Will you make project in the end of the essentials? Yes, I'm planning, Shahid. Yes, buddy, I'm planning to do it. Okay, but to make a project, first of all, we have to understand like how to work with the DOM. So don't worry about it. Tomorrow, or else if we get time today only, after objects, if we get time, I'll also teach you the basics of DOM manipulation. And yes, I'll try to at least create a really cool basic project so that you will know like how to use the things that you have learned. Okay. No, nahi Shubham. Nope, it's not completed yet. Shubham Pal, no. DOM has not been completed. So maybe after the end of the session today, once we complete objects, or maybe tomorrow, we'll start with DOM. So I'll make you understand what exactly is DOM, how it works, and like how you can manipulate your DOM with JavaScript. And we'll also create a cool mini project. So don't worry about it. Okay, everyone? Okay. So everyone, are we excited for today's session? Because today we're going to see arrays, today we're going to see objects, and today we're also going to see loops. Okay, and if you are with me, then please guys show some excitement in the chat. So are you guys excited for today's session? Everyone, come on, tell me. Are we excited? Because we're going to do a lot of things today, and one of the most important things. And at the end, we'll also talk about DOM. So don't worry about it. Can you repeat today's topics? Loops, arrays, and objects. I'm trying to cover these three. Once we complete these three, if we get time, we'll also try to understand about DOM. Okay, so don't worry about it. Arrays, loops, and objects. These are the three things. Akansha, I think you can hear me now. Okay. Okay, that's cool then. Let's get started. So now I have a new VS Code window opened, and I think now you have understood that you need a HTML file and you need a JS file from yesterday's session. So I'm directly going to create all those. So let's get started. So I really hope that you know the basics. At least you know how to create a HTML file and you also know how to create a JS file and how to connect them. So we're going to do that first. Okay. And after that, we'll start with loops and then arrays. And then finally, we'll move on to the objects. Okay. So let's get started. So for that, first of all, let me create a very simple folder. Okay. So folder, and let me name it like JS-essentials. Here we go. Now I have the folder, and let's open this in the VS Code. And I think yesterday also you guys used VS Code. So I really hope that you know what is VS Code now. Okay. And don't worry about it if you don't know. Like, I'll just show you for all the people who are like really new. Let me just get the browser window for you first. Yeah. Here we go. So if you don't have VS Code, guys, don't worry about it. You can simply go on and search like VS Code download, and just go on the first link. And now, depending on your OS, you can download any of this. If you're Linux, if you're Windows, if you're using Mac, depending on your OS, download it, install it, and done. Right? That's simple. I think you already know this, but just for like my satisfaction, I'm telling you that this is what you can do. Okay, cool. Because I think yesterday you got to know like we are using VS Code, so that's fine. Okay, so now we have the folder, and let's get that folder into our VS Code. So open folder, and I think it's on desktop. So yeah, it's on desktop. So let's go on desktop and get the folder JS Essentials. And now we have the folder open, and I'll also do one thing. I'll quickly create the HTML file and the JS file, and then we'll start with our topics. So let's go ahead and create an HTML file, and I'm going to name it index.html. And then I also need a JavaScript file to write my dedicated JavaScript. So let's go, because there is no option for JavaScript, sir, during assignment submission. Okay. Okay, Amritanshu. Jyotsna, I think you can read the chat. So see, Amritanshu is like raising an issue that he's saying that there's no option of like selecting JavaScript when he's submitting the assignment. So I hope we can solve it. So don't worry, Amritanshu. We are reading it in the background, so don't worry about it. No DC24, why you're not late, buddy? We're just starting it. Okay. So now we have the two files. You already know how to create all these. So we have the index.html and we have the index.js. Okay, and now let me just create the basic HTML first. Here we go, HTML5. And currently, right now, we don't need these meta tags. So I'm going to remove them. And let's write down today's topics in our title. So those are, first, we're going to learn loops. Then we are going to move on to arrays. And then finally, one of the really important and one of the most coolest things in JavaScript, that is objects. Okay, so these are the topics. Now, let's link the JavaScript file with our HTML file. So script tag. I really hope that you guys know this from the first day. So script, and then src, finally index.js, and that's it. Here we go. We are done, and now everything is linked. And now finally, let's execute this page once. So right click on the file, simply copy the path, go in your favorite browser, and just paste it. And that's it. Everything is perfectly fine. Now we have settled everything. And I really hope that you guys already know all these things because you have attended the session yesterday. So you know how to create an HTML file, you know how to create a JavaScript file, how to link them, and how to run the page. So we have done all of that. And now we are going to start with today's topics. Okay, and you guys also know the console, right? Because right now we are working everything in the console. We are doing everything in the console because we don't want to disturb our web page. So let's open the console because today also we're going to need the console. Okay. So here we go, the console, and let me zoom it. Perfect. I've zoomed it. I hope you can see the font size now. It is zoomed, and that's cool. So everyone, let's get started, right? Everyone, let's get started. So come on. Let's start with yesterday you completed what you call the conditional statement, right? So today we are actually starting with something called as loops. Now, what exactly are loops? Now, before starting with the coding part, before doing anything, let's try to understand loops at the basic. So I think a lot of people from you might be knowing what exactly are loops, or you might be knowing something about it. So everyone in the chat, can you tell me what is a loop according to you? Don't worry, I'm going to explain it to you, but I just want to know. So everyone in the chat, can you guys tell me what according to you is a loop? Okay, everyone, come on, tell me. Repeating statement. Everyone, come on, answer. Whatever you know, wrong or right, doesn't matter. Just give me the answer. It helps for iterating data, repetition. Anything else, guys? Come on, everyone. Give me answers. Set of code executes more than one time. Some portion of code repeat at some conditions. Repeated code, no end loop, a set of statement that repeats a block of code. So yes, you guys are actually correct. Yes, like loop is something like this only. So exactly, you guys are actually correct. Okay. So now I'll tell you what exactly are loops, and a lot of people from you are actually correct. So for all the new people and for all the people who know, let's start with loops. Okay. So loops in programming language. Now I'm talking generally, not in JavaScript. In any programming language. So loops in a programming language are basically made for repetition of code. So for example, if you have some kind of really important code, okay, let's say you have some kind of code and you want to execute that code again and again, let's say 10 times, 100 times, 50 times, 100 times, like 1000 times, 2000 times, let's say multiple times. So you have a set of code, okay, in your programming, in your code, basically in your file, and you want to execute it multiple times. Okay, so for that purpose, loops have been made. So loops are basically made for this purpose. If you want to execute a code again and again, loops can help you. Okay, now the most important thing is how to write them, how we are going to achieve it. And once we start writing them, then you will understand the real purpose of like what exactly are they doing. But right now, for basic understanding, just remember loops are something that can help you to execute your code again and again. Because sometimes when you're working with a project, when you're working with an assignment, there is some kind of code that you want to execute again and again. There is some code that you want to execute 10 times, 15 times, 20 times. In that case, you don't have to write that code again and again. You have to write that code only once, and loops can help you to execute it 10 times, 20 times, 30 times. Doesn't matter. Okay, so let's start and let's see how to write them. I really hope that you have understood the basic concept of loop, why they have been made. They basically help you to execute a code again and again multiple times. Okay, so let's start. So now guys, you already know how to write a if statement, right? You already know how to write a if statement, right? I'm comparing both of them so that you can understand how to write it perfectly. So you already know how to write a if statement. You write it like this, right? If, and I'll increase the font size if you are unable to see it. I hope you can see the font size now. So how do you write a if condition? How do you write a if condition? So you write if, then your condition. Why I'm writing if? Because loop, when you start writing loop, it is somewhat similar to if. So you already know if. That's why I'm writing if, so that you can understand loop in a much more better way. So how do you write a if? So you write if, then your condition, and then you have a block of code. Okay, so here goes your code that you want to execute. Now, how an if works? So it's like if, okay, fine. Now you have a condition. If this condition is false, we'll directly go outside. We'll directly go here, outside, right? If this condition is false, we'll simply go outside, we'll skip the block. We will skip the block. And if this condition is correct, we'll come inside, we'll execute the code, and then we'll go outside the block. Okay, that means how an if works, if the condition is correct, we'll come inside, execute the block, and we'll go outside. If the condition is not correct, we'll simply go outside the block. We'll skip the complete block. Loop is somewhat similar. When you start writing a loop, it is somewhat similar. Now, let's say you're writing a loop, and right now we don't know any keyword. Okay, so let's say we simply write a keyword like loop. Doesn't matter. Don't worry. So when I'm saying that loop is somewhat similar, let's say you write a loop. Okay, so now I'm showing you how to write a loop. So like, what are the important components in a loop? So again, you write a loop. Okay, right now I'm just using a loop keyword. Don't worry about this. You'll learn in future what are the exact keywords. Right now, let's say loop. So loop also has a condition. Okay, and then you have a block, and then you have a code here that you want to execute. Now you can see this if code and this loop code look a lot similar. Like they are like 99% similar, but working wise they are different. Now what happens in the if? This condition is correct, we come inside, execute the code, and we'll simply go outside. That's it. That's what happens in the if case. That's what happens in a conditional statement. Now what happens in a loop? Let's see. So now again, loop behaves same in the start. Fine. Loop, fine, perfect. If the condition is correct, if the condition is false, not a problem. We'll simply go outside. If the condition is incorrect, we go outside, just like a if statement. But if the condition is correct, we'll come inside, execute the code, and now we are not going to outside like if. We are simply going to go back up to the condition. Now that's a by default behavior of a loop. You're not doing it. It's a by default behavior of a loop to repeat itself. So loop repeats itself. You're not doing it. It's the by default behavior of a loop. Okay. So if the condition is false, we'll go outside. But if the condition is correct, we'll come inside, execute the code. But we are after this, we're not going to go outside. We'll again go back up and we'll again check the condition. And again, if it is correct, we'll come inside, execute the code, and we'll again go back up. That means loop is never going to end from here. Loop will always go back up. And that means we're again going to go back up every time. And only if the condition becomes false at some point of time, let's say after loop has repeated, let's say loop has been repeated 10 times now, and now the condition is becoming false, then it will go outside. That means the only way, like the normal way, the general way of getting outside the loop is to break the condition, is to make the condition false in some way. And that is something we're going to learn, so don't worry about it. And that's how a loop works basically. So the by default feature of the loop is to execute itself again and again, is always to go back up. Okay, only if the condition is false at some point of time, then only we'll get outside. That means to exit a loop, you simply have to make the condition wrong. Okay, now depending on how many times you want this loop to run, you're going to write your conditions. And don't worry, we're going to learn all about that. But I really hope that you guys understood the basics. Okay, so loop is just like if in terms of writing, but the best part is it repeats itself. It never ends after execution of code. It will always go back up. So everyone, are we cleared? Guys, are we clear with the basic logic of a loop? Everyone, I really hope we are cleared. Okay. Now then, let's move ahead and let's see what are the real keywords by which you can write loops. And guys, see, right now I'm teaching you loops. Okay. Don't think that you're only learning it for JavaScript purpose. Each and every programming language has the concept of loop, and everywhere the concept is same. So right now, try to understand loops. Don't try to learn loops in JavaScript. Right now, just try to understand loops, because everywhere it's almost same. The concept is same everywhere. Okay, so let's get started. So now, basically almost all programming languages, but in this case, I'm going to say JavaScript. So JavaScript basically provides you three keywords by which you can write loops. JavaScript provides you three keywords by using which you can write loops. And the three keywords are, you have something called as while. Okay. You have something called as do while. And then you have something called as for. These are the three basic keywords that JavaScript provides you by which you can write your loops. The difference between conditional and loop is that loop is repetitive, whereas conditional, exactly, Amritanshu. Yes, you can say that. Yes. Okay. Java different from loop in JavaScript? No, the basic loops are same everywhere. The basic loops Harshita Singh are same everywhere. Is that clear? Okay. And Amritanshu, I like compared it with conditional because they were like 50% similar. If all like condition, like what do you say? The conditional statement also has a condition and loops also have a condition. Okay. But when we move on to future, at some point of time, you're going to see there are loops that you write without conditions. Okay. So don't worry. So like they are somewhat similar. The basic loops and the conditions are similar, but in future when we go to advanced loops, okay, like for each, like map, they don't have any conditions. Okay, but yeah, for basics, that's fine to understand. Okay, guys. So now let's move ahead and let's try to understand how to work with it. Okay, everyone. Now you can raise one question here. You can actually ask one question here. If the concept of loop is same, why do we have three different keywords? Why do we have while, do while, and for? Why are we having it? So we have three keywords because they have some difference. They have some difference. The concept is same. They are going to repeat themselves again and again, but they have some kind of difference that makes them unique. And that's why we have three different keywords. So now let's take next 10 minutes and let's try to understand all of these three. Okay. So let's get started, everyone. So let's see the first one. Let's use the first keyword to write down a loop. It's exactly same what we wrote right now. You simply have to write while. Okay. This is your keyword. And then you simply have your condition. And then after that, you have a block. And in here, you can simply write your code. That's it. Simple. Just like your loop keyword. And it works exactly same. Perfect. It will check the condition. If it is correct, come inside, execute the code, go back up. Check the condition again. If it is correct, come inside, execute the code, go back up. Come here again. Check the condition. If it is correct, come inside, go back up. Normal working. Okay. So now I want to write a condition. That means I want to write a comparison. And you know that when you want to write a condition, you need some data. You need a variable, right? That means now we have to create a variable. So let's create a variable called num, and let's give it a value of 1. Simple. Num equals 1. Because you know that if you want to write a condition, you need a variable to write it. You need some data to write a condition or comparison, right? You have learned it yesterday. You need a variable to write a condition. Now, here, let's say I put my condition as num is less than 10, which is obviously true because num is 1. And I'm check if num is less than 10. Yes, it is less than 10. I know that, right? It's easier. And now let's say this is really important, some kind of spaceship code that is console.log hello. Really important confidential code, console.log hello. Okay. And that's it. We are done. See all the components, right? All the normal components. While, then you have your condition, and then you have your code. Now here, before executing this on the browser, let's try to execute this in our minds. Num is 1. Perfect. We have a variable called num, and it's the value of the variable is 1. Simple. Okay. And then we are checking. Fine. Yes, yes. Don't worry, Ajay. I'm going to show you how to get it. I'm going to show you how to take input. Don't worry about it. Okay. So now while num, that is 1. 1 is less than 10. Yes, definitely. Come inside, execute the code. Now we go back up. Again, check. Num is still 1 because we have not changed it. Num is still 1. 1 is less than 10. Yes, come inside, execute the code. And in this case, if you see, we are never changing the value of num. Num is never changing. That means this loop will simply go on again and again, again and again, again and again, and it will never stop. If I execute this in the browser, my browser will hang because this loop is never going to stop. And this kind of loop is called as infinite loop, the loop that never stops. And it's not stopping because this condition is never becoming false. Is that clear? And to make it false, what you have to do is you have to break this condition. And to break this condition, if you see what we can do, we can simply change the value of num. See, where is the condition right? If num is less than 10, the condition is right. That means even if I make my num 9, the condition is still correct because 9 is still less than 10. That means I either have to make num 10 or greater than 10 so that the condition can become wrong. Like this. For example, let's say I come here and I simply say num equals 10. Simple. Not wrong at all, right? Simple. Num equals 10. Simple. See, there's nothing like fixed that you have to do plus plus or minus minus. You can do anything. It just requires the value change. That's all. That's why I'm trying to clear in your mind. You don't have to fix in your mind that you have to use plus plus or minus minus. You don't have to fix it in your mind that you have to use those two things. That's why I'm showing you this. You can do anything. The only thing that it requires is change of the value because you simply have to break this condition, and that's it. Okay. So now if you see it, initially num is 1. Perfect. 1 is less than 10. Perfect. Come inside, execute the code. Yes, print hello. Now make num 10. That means now if we go upside, now num is also 10. And if I check 10 is less than 10, it's false. That means this loop is only going to work one time. Let's see if it is actually working. Save it. Let's go on the page. And here we go. See, we get hello only once because our loop is working only one time. Is that clear, everyone? But now, like this loop is working only one time. Now, how can I make it work for me? Like, what if I want to like make my loop work 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, 1,000 times, 2,000 times? Now that thing depends on me, how I write my loop. Okay, so let's do it. So now let's say I want to run this loop 10 times. So what can I do? So I can do one really cool thing. Now you have learned it yesterday. I think you have used plus plus or no need of plus plus. I can do this. Num equals to num plus 1. That means, now see, let's try to execute in our mind first. Without executing on the page, let's try to execute this in our mind. Okay. Num is 1. Perfect. 1 is less than 10. Perfect. Console.log hello. Yes, I'm going to print hello. And now I'm saying num equals num plus 1. So initial value of num was 1. I add one more. That means it is becoming 2 now. And I'm storing it in num again. That means the new value of num is 2. And now if I go back up, now I'm checking 2 is less than 10. Yes, correct. Come inside, execute the code. And now after this, it should become 3. Because num's value is 2. I do plus 1, it becomes 3. And then again, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 till 9. Because we are only going less than 10. That means 9 is the last correct condition. Let's see. And here we go, see, we print hello 9 times. You can see the number here. So perfect. So that's how you decide how many times you want to run your loop. Now, if I want to run it 10 times, I can simply say, okay, fine, go till 10. Not less than 10, go till 10. So now I'm starting from 1 and I'm going till 10 and I'm incrementing by 1, increasing the value by 1. That means it will definitely go till 10 values. And here we go. See, 10, 10 times hello. So that's how it works. Now it depends on me how many times I want it to work. So now if you say I want to work it only 5 times. So there are two ways. Either I can say here, okay, fine, go till 5. Fine, right? I want it to work only 5 times. Go till 5. Or the other way is I can keep 10 here and I can say increment by 2. Simple, right? So after 1, it will become 3, then 5, right? Still same. So it depends. It depends. If you increment it by 2, that means yes. Simple, right? If I want to go from 1 to 10 and if I change the value by 2, if I increase the value by 2, we'll still go 5 times. Is that clear, everyone? Everyone, are we cleared? Guys, please everyone tell me. Are we cleared with the while loop? Guys? And if you want, okay, fine. Now, if your only plan is to increment it by 1, you can simply write plus plus. Plus plus is a unary operator that simply helps you to increase the variable's value by 1. So you can say either you can write num plus plus or you can write num equals to num plus 1. Both are fine. Is that clear? Okay, that's it. That's it. Why? I think someone is asking why are you like going slow? Because there are a lot of new people here, right? Because there are a lot of people who are like really new to programming. They don't know anything about this. So that's why we have to go a little slow so that they can understand everything. Okay? Because there are a lot of new people. Okay. So now let's move ahead. Now in this case, I can remove this and perfect. And if you want, you can also print the number directly like this. Yes, Bhavana. If you want it, I can explain you. Loop has a return value? No. Vignesh, no. Not in this case because loop is not a function normally, right? So no, it does not have a return value. And see guys, if you want, you can simply print your num, right? You can get it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It still works. So if you want, you can use this variable to print. You can use this variable for anything because at the end, it's a variable. You can use it for anything. Okay, so let's complete loop and then I'll explain you the difference between post increment and pre increment. Don't worry. I think someone was asking, right? The difference between post and pre increment. So I'll tell you. Don't worry about it. So now, guys, the best part is now we are cleared with loops. So now the next two loops will be a lot easier for you to understand. Okay, so that's why we focused on while loop too much because we wanted to understand how actually the loop works. Now we know that, so we can understand do while and for very quickly. So let's get started. Let's comment this out. Okay, let's comment this out and let's write the next loop, that is do while loop. So now again we need a variable because we want to write a condition. So let's write a variable num equals 1. Now the way you write the do while loop is a little different than while loop. What you do here is you first write a do keyword and then your brackets, then your block where you're going to write your code. Okay, so let's say my code is still same like this, console.log num, and I still do this num plus plus. And the difference is now here you write your condition at the end like this, doing the exact same thing but in a different way. So you write do first and then you have your block and then you write while your condition. Is that clear, everyone? So exact same thing but in a different way by using a do while loop. Now what's the difference here? What's the difference? So in while loop, what was happening, you created your variable. Now here you check your condition first. Fine. Check if number is less than 10. Yes, it is correct. Then we come inside and execute the code. What's the difference? Here you have your variable. Perfectly fine. Now here you directly tackle do. That means fine, do it, execute it. So fine, do, execute the code and then check the condition. That means here you execute the code first and then you check the condition. In while loop, you check the condition first and then execute the code. Here you execute the code first and then check the condition. But in this case, I have written the exact same thing. Num is 1, perfect. Do, print num. I print 1, num plus plus, it becomes 2. I check the condition, 2 is less than 10, correct, perfect. So it should still go for like 1 to 10. It's working same. But where is the thing? Where is the place where we can actually see a difference between while and do while? Now you know that in while you check the condition first and then execute the code. In do while you execute the code first and check the condition afterwards. So the thing that it gives you, the extra thing that it gives you, this. See, what if I initially make my num equals 11? Now I have made my num equals 11 in the start only. Now if you see, fine, I know my num is 11, and initially only, like the first time only, my condition is wrong. You can see that num is equal to 11, and if you compare, 11 is less than or equal to 10. No, it's false. That means for the first time only my condition is false. For the first time only my condition is false. But it doesn't matter because it's a do while loop. It is executing the code first and then checking the condition. So I don't care if the condition is wrong or right. I'm simply going to execute it at least once, like this. Fine, num is 11. First I'm doing it, so do print the num. Oh fine, I print 11. Num plus plus, num becomes 12. Now check the condition. Condition is false. So even if the condition is false, do while at least executes once. At least it will always execute once because it is executing your code first and then checking the condition. So that's how a do while works, and that's the difference between while and do while. And don't worry, in future when we start creating projects, I'll show you where to actually use a do while, because a do while works, but they don't know where to actually use it. Where is the need of a do while loop? So don't worry. In future, if any projects we get chance, I'm definitely going to show you how to work with do while. Okay. Now, now these two loops also have like some different name. Like this while loop is called as entry control loop because it checks your condition at the entry. And this do while loop is also called as exit control loop because it checks your conditions after the execution. That means at the exit point. So while loop is also called as entry controlled, and do while loop is also called as exit controlled. Okay, and that's cool. That's it. That's all about do while loop. So everyone, have you understood? Now we are moving to the third loop, everyone. Using do while loop, we can create a login system or ATM software where we have to show the input fields of password, then we have to check. Yes, that's a good example. Yes, wherever you want to do something first and then check, you can go for a do while loop. And if you want to do it repeatedly, otherwise you can simply go for an if condition, right, Amritanshu? Okay, so now guys, let's move ahead and let's see the last loop for now, that is for loop. Now for loop is again an entry control loop. That means it simply works exactly like a while loop. For loop and while loop are 99% similar. Okay, execution wise they are similar. For loop and while loop are similar execution wise, but the difference is they have syntactical differences. The way of writing a for loop is different. And guys, for loop is one of the most commonly used loops. One of the most famous and commonly used loops is for loop. Why? Because first thing is it's exactly like while loop. Second is it's syntactically better. The way of writing for is much more better than any other loops. So you write it like this. See, what's the difference actually? So here you write for. Now guys, see, what are the important components of a loop? What are the important components of the loop? Now you guys know that the first and the most important component of a loop is a condition, right? You know that the most important, what you call, component of a loop is the condition. You know that. So condition is important. To write a condition you need a variable, so variable is again important. And to change the value of your variable that is in condition, you need to increment or decrement it. That means you have to change it. So these are the three most important components. Condition, you know that it's important. And if you want to write the condition, you need a variable. So creation of variable is important. So condition is important, creation of variable is important, and changing the value of that variable is important. So these are the three basic components that any loop needs. These are the three basic components that most of the loop will need when you want to write a loop. Okay. So what for loops give you is, for loops tells you that, okay, fine, you can write all these three basic components in a single line like this. Let num equals to 1. Fine. Initialization, that means creation is done. Then put a semicolon, and then you can write your condition like this. Then put a semicolon, and you can write your changing thing again, increment or decrement. And then in here in the bracket, you only have to deal with the code. That's it. Exactly like while loop, but syntactically better. And what's the profit of this? What's the benefit of this? If in future you want to see what is the initialization value, what is this condition value, and how you're changing it, you have to only see one line. You don't have to go up and down. Even if you have big code in your loop, you don't have to go up and down to see your increment value, initial value, or something like that. You can only see one line and you can find everything. And that's why it is one of the most used loop, because it is syntactically better. Okay, and that's it. Works exactly like a while loop. So like if you want to do it, you can do the same thing again here. Console.log num, and here we go. If you save it, we go. See again, 1 to 10, perfectly fine, right? Same thing. Everyone, are we cleared with the concept of loops? Sir, can we create a simple hang virus using? Yes, why not? Infinite loops are used to create a hanging virus. Yes, if you want to hang like systems or softwares. Yes, why not? Okay. After loops, please tell what's the difference between let and var. Yes, I'm going to tell you that. Don't worry. I'm going to tell you the difference between let, var, and const. Don't worry about it, Zubair. So, guys, everyone, are we cleared? Don't worry. Today only I'll clear it. Don't worry about it. So, everyone, are we clear with for loops? Are we clear with all the types of loops here? Because now we are moving ahead to the concept of arrays. Again, one of the most important and one of the simplest things in JavaScript. Please explain how to create. In future, maybe when we are going to do something like that, I'll definitely explain you how to create simple viruses. But no, it's not planned for today, so not a problem. Okay, Amidanshu. So everyone, are we cleared, guys? Okay. Now we are moving to the next thing, that is the concept of arrays, and it's simple. If you have ever found it tough in your schools and colleges to understand how exactly arrays work, don't worry. We're going to make it really simple today. Okay. So now let me comment this out and let's move on to the next topic, that is the topic of arrays. So let's go ahead. Let's write it down here. So now we're going to learn something called as arrays. So now, without wasting any time, let's try to understand what actually an array is. Again, it's general. I'm talking about general programming, not only about JavaScript, general. So generally, an array is nothing but collection of elements. Simple. An array is nothing but a collection of elements of same type. Okay, now it can be a collection of numbers, it can be a collection of strings, it can be a collection of booleans, it can be a collection of decimal values. But remember, array is nothing but a collection of elements of same type. Simple. And all the collection, all the values, let's say you have 5 values, 10 values, 100 values, all the values are stored in a single variable. That's the benefit. That's the best part about an array. All the values are stored in a single variable. Now let's say if we don't know about arrays, if we don't know about arrays, okay, and let's say I want to create 5 values, I want to store 5 values, what I'll do, I'll create 5 variables. If I want to create 100 values, if I want to store 100 values, I have to create 100 variables. And you know that if you create this much variables, it's really tough to handle your program. It's really tough to handle your program. It's really tough to work with the program. It will simply create a mess for you if you use 100 variables to store 100 values. Okay. And that's why you have something called as array. So whenever you feel you have related data, you have some kind of related data, you have multiple of it, you have like 10 data, 20 data, related data. Instead of storing it in 20 variables, you can simply create an array and you can store all that data in a single variable. That's the benefit of something called as an array. So it's nothing, it's simply collection of elements or collection of data in our case of same type stored in a single variable. That's it. That's what an array is. So now let's move ahead and let's see how to create an array in JavaScript. Okay. And it's really simple. In JavaScript, it's the simplest. So what you do is you create a variable like this. Let me call it data. Data. Okay. It has continuous memory location. Yes, Akansha. Yes. So let data equals to, and then you simply have the square brackets. In all of the programming languages in the world, square brackets are simply used to denote arrays. So here we go, square brackets. And then inside this, you can simply write your data separated by commas like this. That's it. Now you have simply stored 5 different values in a single variable. And that's how simple it is. Normally, if you want to create 5 variables, again, it will be a mess. In future, if you want to create 1,000, if you want to store thousands of data, you have to create thousands of variables. And that's where it becomes tough to handle and write. And in place of that, you simply have array, where you can write everything in a compact way and the simplest way. And this is not all. You're going to see much more benefits of arrays in some time. So don't worry about it. Sir, I have a radius of 5 different circles and how to make a function which produce the array of area. We can do it. It's simple. If you have stored all the 5 radius in an array, you can simply apply. Don't worry. Okay. If this is your question, Amridanshu, don't worry. Once we complete the concept of arrays, I'll show you this. I'll write it down for you. Don't worry. Okay, I'll write this code for you. Just for you, because it's a doubt, right? So don't worry about it. Let's first complete the array so that everyone can understand that. That's where I'm going to write it. Okay. Will you teach searching and sorting in array too? Why not? Tomorrow we can learn it. We can learn basics of DOM manipulation, and then I can show you how to write the searching logic and sorting logic. Will we do it today? Yes, Karthike. Once we start DOM manipulation, I'm going to teach you how to take input values. So everyone, are we cleared with creation of arrays? So that's how you create arrays. Okay. Now, can we store different data type value in single array? Yes, Zubair, in JavaScript is possible because JavaScript is a loosely typed language. So even if you store some other data type, some other type data, it will work. But that is something that is not recommended, because when you talk about arrays, the definition of arrays says it's a collection of element of same type. So you should manage that. You should maintain that, right? Okay, guys. So now let's move ahead. Now I have stored 5 different values in a single variable as an array. Now this variable is nothing but an array. So now what if I want to access any of this data? How can I access it? So now next concept. An array stores all your values in terms of index. Okay, basically an array gives all your values a index position or a numbering that starts from 0. That means normally saying this 23 is stored on the 0th position. Okay, so arrays positioning always starts from 0, and that positioning is called as index. So arrays index always starts from 0. So this 23, this first element, is stored on the 0th index. This 45 is on the first index, 67 is on the second index, 89 is on the third index, and 12 is on the fourth index. And you're going to use that index number, index value, to access the data, to access the elements of an array. So now let's see how to access it. And it's really simple, guys. See, let's say I want to access the first element. I want to print it. So it's simple. First, you write the array name, that is data. Okay. Then again, you use square brackets, and inside the square brackets, you simply specify your index position. So I want to access the first element, and you know that arrays positioning or indexing starts from 0. So if I want to access the first element, simply put 0, and that's it. Save it, and let's see if it is working. And here we go, 23. Now you guys tell me, what do I have to do if I want to access 89? Come on, guys, tell me. Everyone, Zubair, that's how they have made it actually, so that they can manage memory easily. That's how they have made it. Now there is a big, it's like a concept here. Okay, but don't worry about it right now. Is that clear, Zubair? But that's how it is made. Okay. So everyone, come on, tell me, what do I have to do if I want to access this 89th element? Sorry, this 89 element, not 89th element, this 89 value from that array. On which index this 89 is stored? Come on, guys. So it's 0, 1, 2, and then 3. That means it's stored on the third place, on the third index. And here we go. Perfect. That means if I want to access every one of this, I can do something like this. 2, 1. That means if I want to access all of it, I simply have to do this, and I can access all of it. Data of 0, data of 1, data of 2, data of 3, data of 4. And by this, I can simply access all of it. Amazing, right? I can access all of it. But again, it's a problem. Now there are 5 values, and if to access it, I simply wrote my console.log 5 times because I wanted to access all the 5 values. What if I have 10 values? What if I have 1,000 values? Am I going to write console.log 1,000 times? Because that's again an issue, right? Then what is the benefit of storing them in array if I still have to write everything that many times? If I have 1,000 elements in the array, I have to write 1,000 times. If I have 2,000 elements in the array, I have to write 2,000 times. So is there a much better way of doing this? If I want to access all elements, is there a much better way and the simple way of accessing elements from an array so that I don't have to write the same thing again and again? Now again, it sounds something like it sounds like something that we have learned. I want to write something again and again. Have we learned something to do this kind of thing when I want to write something again and again? Yes, we have learned it. We have learned something called as loops. You can see all of this is exactly same. And there is only one difference, that is the value. And we know we also have a value that changes over time inside a loop. So yes, exactly, we can actually use a loop here like this. If I want to do this, let me use a for loop here because that's the simplest. Now, this everything else is completely same. The only change is this. That means this is where I have to track my numbers. So basically for number tracking, we use our condition variable, right? So let's create a condition variable called num, and let's start it from 0 because we know that I also want to start from 0. Start from 0, and then I want to end it at 4 because the length of the array, or the sorry, not the length, the last element of the array is at the fourth position. So I have to end it at 4. It's not the length, guys, in this case. So num is less than equal to 4, and then I simply want to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That means it is incrementing one by one. So num plus plus, simply increment one by one, and that is it. Console.log data of now. I'm not going to write 0 here. If I write 0 here, that 0th element will be printed 5 times because this loop is running 5 times from 0 to 4. And if I put 0 here, only the 23 will be printed 5 times. But I don't want that. So I have to put my num variable here because that is something that is incrementing one by one. So for the first time it's 0, next time it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's it. Let's see. Let's comment this out. And we should still print all of it. So let's see. Save it. And here we go, all the values. And that's how you can operate on an array with the help of loops, right? And that's where it is. You cannot operate on variables with the help of loops. If you have 10 variables, let's say you say, sir, no, I don't want to create an array. I still want to create 10 different variables for 10 different values. But how are you going to apply loops on the different variables? Right? You cannot apply loops on different variables. In that case, array is again beneficial. You can also apply loops. So it's not only about storing, it's also about accessing the elements. That helps, that is much better in terms of arrays. And that's why whenever you have multiple values, related values, you simply store them inside an array. So everyone, are we cleared? Guys, are we cleared with the concepts of array? Everyone, please tell me. Guys, are we cleared? And yes, here I'm going less than equal to 4. See, my intention is to go till 4. So either I can write less than equal to 4, or I can simply write less than 5. That also works. Less than 5 is still 4, right? That also works perfectly fine. Less than 5 is still 4. Or you have one more really cool way of doing it. Instead of writing 5, what you can do is you can simply say data, that is nothing but your array, dot length, which will again give you 5. Because length is simply nothing but the number of elements you have in your array. So how many elements I have in my array? 5 elements. So I can simply say num is less than data, that means array dot length. This length will simply give me the number of elements present inside my array. So it's still going to give me 5. So now you don't have to fix it, data dot length, and that's fine. So you can either use equal to 4, less than equal to 4. You can either use less than 5. You can either use less than data dot length, your array dot length, and that's it. Save it, will save. So data.length, basically your array.length gives you the number of elements you have in your array. That's it. Is that clear? Can we make array inside array? Yes, why not, Sitesh? Yes, you can definitely make array inside array. Definitely you can make array inside array. Why not? But it depends how you're creating it. Okay. Aftab, can you tell me what is the confusion, buddy? Have you joined late, Aftab? Or can you tell me what exactly is the confusion? Split equals array. Split is a function that returns an array. Is that clear, Mamun? Split is a function that you use to split a string. In return, it gives you an array of strings. That's it. Simple. Okay, guys. Now, let's move ahead. Now you have understood arrays. Now, what I want to actually tell you is, now it's not like mandatory that you have to only store numbers. As I told you, array can be anything. Array can be a collection of numbers, or it can also be a collection of strings like this. If I want, I can also put collection of strings. Anything will do. Okay. See? So I can also store strings and it will still work. Perfect, right? Totally fine. So you can store anything inside an array, anything. Okay, and that's it. That's the basic of array. That's how you create it, and that's how you access it. Okay, everyone. How to get input from user? Don't worry, Shivam. Don't worry. Just give me some time. We are reaching towards it. Let's first complete the most important topic for today. That is object. Right. Once we complete objects, then we're going to start with DOM manipulation. And then I'm definitely going to teach you how to take input from user, because tomorrow we also have to create a project. So don't worry, Shivam. Just wait for some time, see objects, and at the end today, if we complete the basic DOM, I'll show you how to take input from user. Okay. So now let's move ahead and let's move on to the next topic. Now, for now, let me just comment it. I really hope that you guys understood what exactly is an array and how to basically work with it. Now, don't worry, because in future we're going to work with arrays a lot. But for now, that's it. Sir, I want to be a junior JavaScript developer. Why not? You can be it. Obviously, you can put your profile on LinkedIn, practice some JavaScript projects, and you can definitely get a junior developer job. What should I do? You should learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript perfectly. Then you should also learn some JavaScript framework like Angular or React. Okay. And then you can apply. And also, like, have 10 to 15 projects in your pocket by practicing it. Create 10 to 15 projects, and then you can apply for a job and you can easily get junior developer JavaScript, like junior JavaScript developer job. Okay. After console, please show it in HTML page. Don't worry, Vedant. The DOM manipulation is all about the HTML page. Don't worry about it. First, we're understanding the programming principles. Once we have understood the programming principles, we are definitely gonna move to the HTML page. So the DOM manipulation will like it will be all about the HTML page. So don't worry about it. Okay, Vedant, don't worry about it. So now, guys, let's move on to the next topic. And again, one of the most important topics in JavaScript, that is nothing but something called as objects, or for now let's say object. So what is an object in JavaScript? Okay, what exactly is an object in JavaScript? So object is nothing but a collection of properties. Now again, property, first of all, you have to understand what are properties. Before moving on to objects, let's try to understand what are properties, because you're going to hear this word a lot. You're going to hear this word a lot. So a property is nothing but, you can say, like, see, I'm going to explain it in two ways: in real world way and then in a programming way. So in real world, a property is nothing but an attribute. So let's say if I'm an entity, I'm an object. So my properties are my hands, my nose, my eyes, my ears. These are my properties. If I'm an object, these are my properties. So in real world, this is, so like, for example, if I have a bottle, if bottle is an object, the cap, and you can say the thing it holds inside it, those are nothing but its properties. Okay. So basically each and everything in this world is normally like can be considered as an object, and they all have their own properties, and that's what make them different. Now this was a real world example of what exactly an object is. Now I'm not explaining you completely because we are not learning object oriented programming, but in future maybe I'll explain you what exactly an object is. But for now, think it simply: an object is anything in the world, and properties are nothing but whatever that object has. Properties or attributes, whatever you can call it. So these eyes, these hands, nose, these all are my properties and attributes. Now, let's come into programming. So the concept is almost same. An object can be any representation, can be anything, and it holds properties. Okay? And in programming, properties can be considered as the variables. Because see, in programming, you're not going to have nose, hands, eyes, right? You're going to simply have data. Okay, some kind of representation. So in programming, an object is something that has a lot of properties. So object is a collection of properties, and properties are similar to variables because they also hold values. That's it. That is it. That is it completely. So object is nothing but a collection of properties, and a property is something similar to variable because it also holds data. So object is nothing but a collection of related properties, not properties, let's say related properties, because all those properties are related to the same thing because they are representing the thing. Object is a representation of something. Always remember this: object is a representation. Right now I'm simply explaining you. Once we create it and use it, then you'll understand what exactly is the use. So right now, just understand whatever I'm saying. So is that clear, everyone? MS Wiki buddy, don't spam the chat. I have submitted the assignment for cybersecurity for beginners. When will I get my certificate? Vicky, right? See, right now I don't know about that course, buddy. But don't worry, I think Josna can answer you. So Josna, can you solve Vicky's doubt in the chat? And Vicky, buddy, please don't spam the chat. Okay. So everyone, are we cleared? Guys, everyone, please tell me, are we cleared? So in programming, an object will be something like collection of data. That's it. Again, collection of properties that hold some data, but they are related data. Okay, and you'll understand it in some time. Don't worry. So let's create a simple object in JavaScript and let's try to understand whatever I told you. Is it really true? Let's try to understand. So let's create an object called as student. Let's say I'm managing student data. Now see here, you're not going to have hand, eyes, nose, right? You're going to have some data. So let's say I have an object called student, simple plain object, student. Okay. And now I'm going to have properties. So let's say I have a property called name. Okay. So that's how you create it, guys. First of all, yeah, I forgot to explain you. That's how you create it. First, you give a name to your object, then equals to. Now you create an object using curly braces. And in this case, it is called as, it is not considered as a block. It is considered as a object literal. In this case, so whenever you're creating an object, this curly braces are considered as object literals because you're using them to create objects. Don't worry, Amritanshu. Let's see, you'll understand it. Don't worry. And then inside this bracket, you can write or you can create your properties. Okay. So you can create a property like this and then put a colon, and then here you can store your value. Let's say I put Saurabh, that's my name, and simple, done. Name Saurabh. You can also like, and then if you want to write one more property, put up a comma, and then you can write age, let's say 26. You want to write one more property, you can say stream, and then you can like simply say science, like this. So these are the properties of the object. So I have a student object, and these are the three properties of the student object: name, age, and stream. And you know that these three objects belong, like these three properties are related because they belong to a same person, right? They belong to a same person. So objects are nothing but a way of holding related properties because you're trying to represent something. So objects are nothing but a way of representing data in a good way so that your data completely can represent an entity. In this case, they are representing a student, right? So that's why we have objects. Is that clear, everyone? Is that clear, everyone? And that's how you write a property value. Now see, it's just like a variable. You have name variable and you have Saurabh as the value. You have age variable, you have a 26 as the value. But in this case, they are called as properties. But yes, they are almost like normal variables. They work almost like normal variables, but when they're inside an object, they are considered as properties. And you know that these three properties are simply related because they belong to the same person. Is that clear, everyone? Yes, Mitanshi, it's exactly like a dictionary in Python. Okay. I'm not so much familiar in Python. So I think, yeah, if you're telling that, it's almost same. Okay, everyone, are we cleared? Guys, okay, the Sujal is back here. My old friend, give space between colon and property name and value if possible. Make the alignment of colors look in same line. Don't worry, buddy. Don't worry. That is something that, yes, you can do, definitely. But right now, it's not that important, right? Because right now, we have to understand what is an object. Okay, I hope, Sujal, you're cleared with it. Okay, everyone. So guys, are we cleared, everyone, how to create an object? So this is how you create a simple object. Simple. Don't worry. We're going to also work with complex objects, but right now it's simple. Now, the next thing, how to actually access the properties. What if I want to access any property and I want to see its value? How can I actually access a property in JavaScript? Okay, and that's really simple. So let's say I want to access the name of the student. How can I access it? It's really simple. Let's say I want to print it. So I simply say console.log. Okay. So first thing is you write the object name. So student, that was my object name, right? So student, and then you used the dot notation, and after that you can write any property. So dot name. So object dot any property that you want to access. Simple. Object dot any property. And see, guys, right now you'll be seeing that, okay, fine. Objects looks very simple, very basic. They always look really simple and really basic. But the thing is, you will understand their importance when you start working with them. You'll understand how important they are and how easy it is to handle your data in objects, how easy it is to see and work with your data when you're working with objects. Because if I say you, like, let's say I want to hold data of 10 students, okay, and if you create normal variables, it will be really a mess. Don't worry, you'll see that. If I want to hold data of 10 students in normal variables, it will be really a mess. And in objects, it's really easy. You'll see that. And that is the time where you actually understand what is the actual use of object. But right now, really basic. Okay, everyone, are we cleared? So simple, student not name. Same again. If I want to access the next property, console.log, simply go ahead and again write the object name that is student, and you can access the next property like age. And if you see the output, let's see. Here we go. Saurabh, that was the name of the object, and 26, the other property of the object, age property. Is it clear? I hope we are cleared. Why it is named index in HTML, CSS, and JS most of the time? Like what? Where are you saying this? Where what thing is named as index? Are you talking about arrays index? Nuclear gaming, are you talking about arrays index? Then I can explain you, because first of all, you have to make me understand. Because in HTML and CSS, we don't have any kind of index, right? So you have to tell me first. File name. Okay, why do we name our file name as index? See, normally when you create a website, okay, so you give a name of index to that file, whichever file from where you want to start your project. So whenever someone loads your project, index file will be the first file to be loaded. So that's why you name it as index, because just like a book, when you open a book, the first thing that you get is an index, and after that you get the content, right? So the first page of a website is considered as an index page, because that is where you have all the basic, like what you call, options, right? All the things that you have in your website. Yes, Sujal, don't worry, buddy. I think you have also attended my previous JavaScript sessions, right? So you know that we also explained that. So don't worry about it, buddy. Don't worry about it at all. Okay, Sujal, I really hope that you have that you are understanding this. Okay. So nuclear gaming, that's why like the first pages are always called indexes, because they simply sum up all the things that you have in your website on a page, and from there you can go anywhere. And that's why we also name that index. Is that cleared? Okay, guys. So I really hope we are clear with this, right? Now, there is one more way of accessing your properties. If you want to like work with objects, there is one more way of accessing properties, not only the dot thing. So there's one more way. I'm going to tell you that also. There's a way using the array notation. You can also access your properties like this. Student. So first of all, again, your object name is important. And then you can use the array notation, and then simply put double quotes, and then you can write any of your property name. Now remember, here you have to put double quotes because they are important. Here you have to use double quotes. Okay. So you can also access properties by using the dot notation. You can also access properties by using array notation. So simply put your object name, then array notation brackets, and inside that you can simply write your property name, and that's it. Save it, and you can see you're still accessing it. Either go for dot, or you can also go for this. Is that clear, everyone? Okay, I hope we are cleared. Now you can have like one question. Why do you have like two ways? Why do we have two ways? Like if I can access using dot notation, why do we have this other way of accessing properties? Like what is the need of this? So let's try to understand. So remember, whenever you work with dot notation, this property name should be the exact same. Like it should be the exact same property. Like for example, let's say, I'm going to explain you. Let's say uh, your property name is dynamic. Let's say your property name is dynamic. Okay, so let's say I get my property name with like in here in this variable. Okay, and let's say someone says I want to access stream. Okay, so I have a property variable. Okay, and inside that I'm passing stream. That means I want to access the stream property of my object. So now I have stored my property name inside a variable. I have stored my property name inside a variable. So now let's see. Now, if I try to access, okay, if I try to access my property with the help of a variable, if I write it like this, student.property. Now remember, if you write student.property, JavaScript will try to find a property named property. That means it will try to find out a property named property from this object, and you don't have a property named property. So whenever you put a dot notation, whenever you're using a dot notation, it will always try to find out the exact same property name in your object, and you don't have that. You don't have anything called property in your object, right? So whenever you're using a dot notation, you have to make sure that you're writing the exact same property. But if you have a thing like this, if your property name is coming from somewhere else and you're storing it in a variable, then you can go for this. And in here, you can simply write student, and here you can pass the property. And here, now JavaScript understands that, okay, fine, this is a variable. Okay, and what is a variable? Stream. So it will simply put stream here, and it will help you to access the stream. That's why you have two different ways. So one is when you have the exact property name. One is when you when your property name is coming from somewhere else, or when it is dynamic, or when you have stored your property name in a variable and then you want to access it, you can always go for arrow notation. Is that clear, everyone? Yes, you have to give double quotes. Yes, because normally you're writing it as a string, right? So you have to use double quotes. It's not a variable, it's a string, right? Ajay K, it's a string, so you have to give double quotes. Is that clear, everyone? So that's why you have two ways. Dot, if you know the exact name, and if you're writing the exact thing, if you're writing the exact property, and you have arrow notation, if your property is dynamic, it's coming in some variable and then you're using it, then go for arrow notation. So I really hope that everyone is cleared. Okay, that is really cool. Perfect. Okay. And don't worry, guys, don't worry about the certificate doubt and everything. Don't worry, we can talk about all of that at the end. So at the end, I'll give you 2 minutes to talk about the attendance forms and the certificates. Can we get key from property value? Yes, not from value, but you can directly access the keys. You never get key from value. That's why they are named key, right? You always get value from keys. You don't try to access key from value, but there is a different way of, if you want to access keys, there's a different way. But yes, normally you don't try to access key from value. Is that clear? Because that's why they are named key. You use key to access a value. You don't use a value to access a key. But yes, by doing some indexing, you can also achieve that thing, but you never normally do it. Okay. Okay. So that's it now, guys. That's it. And one more thing I want to show you. Let me remove all of it. Let me remove all of it. And let me directly print the whole object at once. Can we do it? Let's see. So console.log. Directly I'm printing the whole student. Let's see. If you see it, yep. In our console, we can actually print the whole object, and console displays it in a really cool manner. So yes, you can do it. Okay, everyone? Perfect. Now, let's move ahead. And let's see, what if I dynamically want to add a new property? Can I do that? What if I want to add a property dynamically in my object? Let's say while creating, I only had three properties, and I want to add one more property in this existing object. Can I do that? Yes, you can definitely do that. You can simply go on and write the object name, okay, the student, and then whatever property you want to add, just write it. Let's say I want to add a property named, let's say city. So city and equals to, pass whatever value you want to pass, and that's it. Simple. So student, then whatever property you want to add, and then simply pass the value. And this property will be added into your object dynamically. If you want to see it, see. So now this was my existing object, student, and here I had only three properties in the start, and then I wrote this student.city. The city property is not there. I just wrote it student.city equals to Mumbai. That means I want to add this property in the existing object, and let's see if we are able to do it. So now I'm printing the object, and if I get the city property, that means it is working. Let's see. And here we go, see. Now we also have the city property inside that object. You can see it. You have the city property. So is that clear, everyone? Guys, are we cleared? So that's how you simply add a property inside an object. So please give us assignment and project every day so that our skills build. Please tell us what type of application we have to make today as normal homework. Please don't worry, Amritanshu. Please join the group, because in the group, I'm going to share all this file, and I'm also going to post the assignment question. So everyone, I really hope that, see, the group link is going on in the chat. You guys have to join that group. That is important. Please join the JavaScript Essentials group. Inside that group, I'm going to share all the files, and I'm also going to post the assignment questions there. So you can find everything there. Is that clear? Okay. Community link is not working. Jyotsna, can you see that? Because a lot of people are saying community link is not working. The JS Essential group. Jyotsna, can you put the JS Essential group link in the chat? So guys, there is a group.
Sure. Actually, community is not working for some time. It will be working soon.
Okay.
For just for the time being, we will be sending the assignments and materials through mail.
Okay, and
They
how
will
they can
get
register
it.
then if they have not registered
They
yet?
will register with the same link, registration link. Then they will get the mail.
Okay, so can you also put the registration link in the chat once?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so guys, the community is not working right now. There are some issues. It will be solved earliest. Okay, but the registration link will be what you call in the chat in some time. So you can register for this particular essential course, and then you can get all the materials that I share in your email. So the assignment question and all the things that I do here will be shared to you. Okay. What is the last date of submission? I think it will be 3 days after the course completion. So what, I think tomorrow is the last day of our course. Okay. And after that, you have 3 days to submit all your assignments. So don't worry. So guys, see, you can see it. The registration link for this essential course is in the chat. You guys can register to it, and then all the files I'm like creating here and the assignment question will be mailed to you. Can I join from Bangladesh? Why not, Mamun? Why not? Definitely can join from anywhere in the world. You're always welcome. Okay. So everyone, now let's get back to the topic. Let's get back to the topic now because we don't have a lot of time. Okay. So now everyone, are we clear with the basic concept of an object? Everyone, please tell me, are we cleared with the basic concept of an object? Can we move ahead now? Because now we have to deal with a little complicated thing, array of objects. So everyone, please tell me, are we cleared? Guys, are we cleared with the concept of objects? Okay, that is really cool. That is really cool. Now then, let's move ahead and let's see something else. Okay. So now let me comment all of this out. Okay. Let me comment all of this out. And for some time, let's comment this as well. And now let's go down. Let's paste it here. Okay. Now we have the object here. Okay. Now we have the object here. Now let's say I want to handle 5 students. I want to handle 5 students data. Okay. Now I want to handle 5 students data. Okay. So what is one thing I can do? I can simply go on and I can create one more object named student2. And then now guys, please focus. I'm going to show you the disadvantage first and then we can move ahead. Don't worry, technical virus. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'll tell you. Okay. So basically, I want to create few more objects because I want to handle 5 students data. So let's say I go here and I put like, let's say Thor, let's say 34, something like that. And let's say, again, let's say Thomas. Okay. That means now what I'm doing is, if I want to create 2 student objects, if I want to handle 2 students, I created 2 objects. That means if I have to handle 5 students, I have to create 5 objects. And that is again becoming complicated because in that case, I have to remember the names of all the objects. Okay, that means now in this case, when I want to handle the data of 5 students, what I'm doing, I'm creating 5 different objects. If I want to handle data of 10 students, I have to create 10 different objects. If I want to handle data of 100 students, I have to create 100 objects. And then again, working with 100 different objects is again complicated because if I want to do something with the student, I have to again write it 100 times. Are you guys getting my point, everyone? So it's just like creating 100 different objects. It's just like creating 100 different variables. That means if I want to work with 100 students, I have to write my code 100 times. So is there any better way if I want to handle multiple objects related to the same thing? Because they are all related to something called a student. So is there a better way of handling multiple students instead of creating multiple objects, instead of creating different variables for all the objects? Is there a better way? So yes, there is a better way. No, again, see Akansha, again the same thing. If your answer is use class, if you create class again, class is just a blueprint, right? If you create a class again, you'll still create objects, right? Akansha, you'll still create objects, and again you'll have objects. In here, we are working without class. But again, if you create class, you'll still create objects, and again you'll have multiple objects. So again, if you want to work with 100 students, you still have to create 100 objects, right? Akansha, are you getting my point? Okay, so again, that means class is not the solution. Class will simply give you a blueprint, right? You still have to create 100 objects. So now what is the best way of doing this? So now see guys, have we learned something where we want to where we have multiple data and we want to store them properly and we also want to use them properly? Have we learned something for that, guys? Everyone please tell me, have we learned something like whenever you have multiple data, wherever you have a lot of data related to same thing, have we learned anything to store that kind of thing? Is there any easier way? Yes, exactly. We can go for an array. So whenever you have multiple related data, so instead of storing them separately, what you can do is you can store all of them inside an array. And you know, when we store inside an array, You don't have to write things multiple times, because if it is inside an array, you can work with loops, right? And that's what we're going to do now. So what you can do is you can create an array, and let's call our array as students. And inside this, so now I have an array, that means square bracket. And inside this, I want to store elements. And in this case, now see, as I told you, array can be a collection of anything. Array can be a collection of number. Array can be a collection of string. Array can also be a collection of objects. Why not? So here we go. Let me just make it normal. You can store multiple objects inside an array. You can store multiple objects. So this object is on the 0th index, this object is on the first index, and this object is on the second index. And you can go like this: name, Saurabh, age 26. So the first data, and let me just put like some spaces so that you can understand it in a better way. Then you have comma, and then you can go for your next object. And then again you'll have comma, and then you can go for your third object like this. Simple. So see guys, here is the array, and this is your first element. A complete object is your first element. And then again, you have your next object. So it's simple. That's it. And again, have your name. Let's say we put like Thor, and put like age 1500, like so. And then you can also have like name, and then you can have like, let's say, Hawkeye, and simply put age as 30. Why not? And that's it. Simple. So in array, you can also store numbers. In array, you can also store strings. In arrays, you can also store objects. So now, on each of the index, I have a complete object. That means, see now. Now you guys tell me, if I want to access this first object, on which index this object is. Come on, guys. Can you tell me? Everyone, come on, tell me. On which index we have the first object? Everyone, come on, tell me. Guys, exactly. It's on the 0th index, and I have 3 objects, right? That means I have object on 0th index, I have an object on first index, and I also have an object on second index, and that's it. Now if you want to see it, let's go ahead. Console.log. Now guys, see, how do you access a element on the first index? That means the first element. How do you access the first element? You write the array name, that is students in our case, and then of 0, and here we go. See, the first object, the first element, that is nothing but an object. Remember guys, don't try to complicate the concept of arrays and objects. Arrays are simply collection of elements. Okay, now objects are nothing but collection of properties, related properties. Okay, an object, a single object can be an element that can be stored inside an array. Simple. Yes, 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 Ankit. Yes, exactly same. And if we go, if I put 1, I'll get the second object. If I put 2, I'll get the third object, like this. Simple. Simple, simple, simple. Okay, and that's the difference between an array and object. Array is a collection of elements of same type. Object is a collection of related properties. Okay, and objects don't have like indexes normally. You can, again, you can, there is a workaround if you want to work with indexes and objects, but normally objects are not considered with indexes. Arrays have indexes. Okay, so I think someone was asking, right? So now you know, arrays are like collection of elements. Objects is also collection of properties, but not different elements. Same, like object is like a representing an element. Okay, and you write all the properties of that element, related properties, and that's it. What if I want the second attribute of the first object? Why not? That's a good question. So student of 0 is giving you the first object, right? Student of 0 is giving you the first object. That means this thing here is giving you the first object. So if this is the object, you can simply write dot age, and here we go. Now you're accessing the age property of the first object. And that's it. If you want to access the name of the second object, student of 1, that means the second object dot name. Here we go. Simple. Is that clear, Akansha? So everyone, are we cleared? So you can also store objects in array. Okay, and that's now, if you now try to think it. Now try to think it. If I tell you I want to manage data of 10 students, and I don't have the concept of arrays, I don't have the concept of objects. That means for each and everything you have to create variables. Now try to understand how complicated it will be if you handle everything in variables. You don't have arrays. That means there is no place to store everything like as a collection. You don't have objects. And now if I tell you to store data of 10 students in only variables, you have to create a lot of variables. And there is no structuring. There is no proper placement. There is no way of using things again and again. You have to write everything again and again. You have to write everything again and again. Okay. Is that clear, everyone? So that's why you have the concept of arrays, so that you can store multiple elements at one place and you can apply loops to work with them. And you have objects, so that you can store related data at one place, so that it can represent a object properly. Okay, and now again the same thing. See, guys, now it is an array, so you can also work with loop. So let's go ahead. For let num equals 0, because you know the first index is 0. Num is less than, let's say, students is array, right? So students dot length, and then num plus plus. And again, you can simply go for students. Oh, I want to print it, right? Console dot log students of num. That means first I'll print student of 0, that is the first object, then students of 1, that is the second object, then students of 2, that is the third object. Let's see. Save it. Here we go. Now I'm able to print all the objects. Is that clear, everyone? I'm printing all the elements. Simple. I'm print just like you printed all the numbers inside an array. Now I'm printing all the objects inside an array. In this case, object is nothing but an element, right? Object. See, guys, a lot of people get confused. When they store normal numbers in arrays, it's easier for them. But when they store objects in arrays, they get confused how it is working. You don't have to be confused. It's simple. Number was also an element. Object is also an element. That's it. You're simply working with indexes. Okay, and now you know that students of num is giving you a single object. So if you want, you can also put like name dot name. So student of num, that is giving you the object dot name. So now I'll be able to print all the names of all the objects. Here we go. So guys, are we cleared? What if I put student length? There's nothing like that. There's nothing like that, because length is, see, you cannot put student of length, because then in that case it will try to find out a property present inside the object. So you cannot do that. And yes, in this case, students is an array. So it doesn't work like that, because then it will try to find out a length index, and it doesn't work like that. Is that cleared, Mamun? You cannot put it like that. Okay, so everyone, are we cleared? And that's how you can work with array of objects. And that's how you work with data. Now, this is one of the most important concepts in JS. Why? Because in future, when you become a front-end developer, or let's say you become a back-end developer, all the data that you will send and receive, it will be always in the form of this array of objects. It will always be in a form of objects or array of objects. Is that clear, everyone? It will always be in the form of array or array of objects or objects. All the data that you send on the network, you receive on the network, it will be in the form of this. And that's why you have to understand all of this. BTS, can you tell me what is your confusion, buddy? Are you joining just now? Okay. Okay, that's cool. So everyone, are we cleared, guys? Okay. And you know that this is nothing but JavaScript object. Simple. A plain JavaScript object. Simple. Please show dynamic addition of new object in array. Why not? Normal, right? Simple, normal. You know, now there are multiple ways. There are two ways basically if I want to add a new object. See, guys, someone is asking how can I add a new object in my array? It's simple. There are two ways. Okay. And the second way is the best. But first of all, I'll also show you the first way. Now, how many elements I have in my array? 3 elements. One on 0, one on 1, one on 2. That means the third index is empty. So I can do this, right? Student of 3, right? 0, 1, 2 is already filled. So students of 3 equals object. Why not? This is one way. Name, let's say Hulk, and age, let's say 34. Why not? So this is one way. Simple. Students of 3 equals to this element. Just like you add a number like this. I want to access, or if I want to add a number on the third index, I do this. In this case, I'm simply adding an object on the third index, and that's it. It will still work. You can see now, while printing, I'm also going to get Hulk. See? Sometime let me remove this. Let's print whole object so that you can see it perfectly. Now see, fourth object is also added in that array. Simple, right? Just like you add a number in an array, you can also add an object, because see, at the end, object is also an element. Why your community link is not working? Because there is some problem. There's some issue going on, buddy. Okay, so don't worry. Don't worry, Monish. It will be solved in a day. So don't worry. Okay, is that clear, everyone? Okay. And there is one more way. So if you don't want to like think about indexes, in this case, I wanted to track, like in this case, there was a need of tracking the index, right? Because I have to remember, okay, I have an element at 0, I have an element at 1, I have an element at 2. Okay. So is there a different way of doing it? What if I don't know the indexes? Is there a different way? So yes, there is a different way. You can do the same thing by using an array function called as push. So you have students, the array name dot push, and push will always push that element into the array on the last index, whatever it is. Now I don't have to care about the index. So I can still do this thing. See? So copy it, element. That's it. Just like this. It's just like this. Students dot, just like you push a number in an array like this, 23. If I want to add a number to an array, I can simply add an object. So students dot push, then sit. So if you know the index, you can go for this, but you have push, right? Push is the best. You don't have to take care of the index. Push will always add a new element at the end. And here we go. Still same. You still have that object at the end. Is that cleared, everyone? Guys, are we cleared? Yes, push. No, stack is like last in, first out. No. It's like first in, last out, right? Stack is first in, last out. Okay. Arrays are normal, right? They can be accessed from anywhere. It's not like that. But yes, when you go for a loop, you always go from start. So you don't have to think about it actually here. Okay. What is push for? Biswajit, simple. Push is simply a array function that helps you to push a new element in the array. In this case, we are pushing an object. Is that clear? Push function is simply used to push an element inside the array at the last index. So if I have 3 elements, that means 2 is the last index. It will be pushed as the third element. That means on the third index. Simple. So at the end of the index, it will be pushed. Simple. Okay, so push is a function that helps you to add an element in the array. Okay, is that clear? How to array change an object? I think you're trying to ask how to convert an array to object. You don't have to, because they both have different functionality. You never convert an array to an object because they both have different functionalities, right? There is actually no need at all of converting an array to an object. Is that clear? If we need to add on a first index, then there's one more function. There's a function called as unshift. There's a function called as unshift. You also have one more function called as unshift, and it will always add the element on the first index. So you have unshift. So it will add the element on the first index and all the elements will move ahead. Simple. So you have push and you have unshift. Is that clear? Okay. So that is it. That's how it works. Everyone, that's how it works. So now you know loops. Now you know arrays. And now you know array of objects. Can we create object of array? Why not? You can also add arrays inside object. Why not? For example, you can do this. See, if let's say I also want to store hobbies. I also want to store hobbies. So you can do this. Hobbies equals, and you can create array. Not equal, sorry, colon. It's a property, right? You can store like this. Cricket, volleyball, not volleyball, it's volleyball. And then you can have like, let's say, video game, something like this. So yes, why not? See, so now we have an array inside which you have an object. Inside the object, you have a property, which is again an array. Simple. So you can have it. Why not? Simple. Is that cleared? Okay. So you can have object inside array, inside object, inside array, inside object, inside array. Doesn't matter. It depends on how you want to store your data. It depends on how you write your data. It depends on what is the structure of your data, how you want to store it, how you want to manage it. Using push and unshift, I get only the newly added object, not all the objects. Why so? Where if you print the array, you get everything, not only that one, right? Akansha, see, I'm pushing it. See, I'm pushing it here, and then I'm printing it. If you see, I'm getting everything. I'm getting all the new ones, right? If you see, I get everything. I get all the 4 objects. I think you're printing only one. See, I have applied a loop to print all the things. You can see it. I've applied a loop to print all the things. Is that cleared? Yes, I'm running it. See, I have all the things. This is the third time I'm running it. You can see I have all the things. I think you have not printed it like this. I'm printing everything. I'm printing everything inside the array. I think you're only printing one thing. See that? I think you're only printing one thing, Akansha. See that? Check out that. Yes, Amritanshu, you can go for each loop, but for loop is not a bad thing. You can always go for loop. Why not? You can go for each loop. You can go for map. You can go for anything. You can go for. You can go for while. Everything is fine. Nothing is bad. Is that cleared? But yes, normally we go for each. But right now we have only learned. Right now we have only learned while, do while, and for. Right. So we are using them right now. Is that cleared? Is that cleared, everyone? How to add an object dynamically in a desired index? By writing that index. Simple. Students of any index that will be replaced. That's simple. Okay. So Aswat, if you want to add an element on the desired index, that means you simply have to mention the index, right? Just like this. Students of any index like 5 or 2 or 1, and it will be replaced. Remember, when you work with desired index, it will be replaced. Simple. Is that cleared? Okay. Is that cleared, everyone? Guys, are we cleared, everyone? Please tell me. So are we clear with loops? Are we clear with arrays? And are we clear with objects and also array of objects? Guys, are we cleared? Please tell me. And tomorrow we have a lot of things to do, because tomorrow the first thing that we're going to learn is DOM manipulation. So I'm going to show you how to work with your HTML elements. We're also going to learn about functions, and I'll also show you how to take input from, like, how to take values from input fields, and we'll also try to create a mini project. So not a problem at all. Yes, PM, go ahead, buddy. You can ask your questions. Why not, buddy? I'm here to answer your questions, right? So go ahead, PM. Ask your questions. Not only 2, ask 3, 4, 5. Not a problem at all. Go ahead. Assignment, yes, assignment will be mailed to you. So you guys have to register, guys. Everyone, you have to register on the link. So Dosna, can you please like put the link once again? I think I can see the link in the chat. So guys, please everyone, just go on that link, register, and the assignment questions and all of this thing, all the material will be mailed to you. Okay? But both the questions are out of the syllabus. PM, yes, go ahead, buddy. Go ahead. What? Not a problem. If I can answer it, I'll answer you. If I cannot, then not a problem, right? So just ask your question. If I know that, if I'll be able to do it, I'll definitely answer you. Don't worry about it. Are you going to cover map, reduce, arrow function? Let's say, because tomorrow we have to learn DOM manipulation. So I may show you how to work with map, but I'm not sure about everything. So I may like pick one of them, and I'll show you how to work with that at least. Okay. Yes, Yogesh. I think in some days there is a Node.js essential coming up. Maybe I think in this weekend only there is a Node.js essential coming up. Okay. PM, that is that is one question I cannot answer. Okay. So okay, I that is like completely. It's not only out of syllabus. It's like out of everything. Okay. So everyone, are we cleared? So don't worry, guys. For Node.js, we are definitely going to have essential coming up in some days. So you guys just stick to it, and I'm going to take it. So we're going to enjoy it a lot. Okay. And please register, guys. Please register on that link. Okay. And I'm going to transfer everything that I did today and all the assignment questions through your mail to you. Okay. And yes, I have seen the trailer. Someone was asking, right? Have you seen the trailer? Yes, I have seen the trailer. It's amazing. I'm really excited to watch that movie. PM, I have actually wrote it in here in my what you call file, the JavaScript file, right? You can see it. Okay. So this method or function are same. It difference. What is the difference between them, sir? Please tell me. See, at the core they are same, but basically when something returns, then it's a function. If it is not returning anything, it's simply called as a method. Okay, that's how you understand them. So when something returns, like at the core, both are same, both are function at the end. But basically, when it returns something, it's a function. When you don't return anything, it's simply considered a method. Okay, that's it. Simple. Async and await. Let's see, Darshan, if we get time tomorrow, we're also going to see async and await because tomorrow is our last day. So we have to do DOM manipulation. If we complete that in time, if we complete our mini project in time, we're definitely going to see async and await. So don't worry about it. Is that clear, everyone? For the project we are supposed to make calculator, can you explain how to go about it, sir? Kirtana, tomorrow we're going to learn DOM manipulation. And if you want, I'll also show you how to work with that calculator thing. So if you guys are not understanding how to work with that calculator, don't worry. Okay, tomorrow we'll learn DOM manipulation. Tomorrow we'll start with DOM manipulation, and I'll show you how to actually work with that calculator thing. Don't worry about it. Okay, what should we learn after JS? First, you have to learn, like after basic of JS, you should learn how to use JS in your projects, how to use JavaScript for your projects, and then after, once you have like now once you're good with using JS in your projects, like manipulating the DOM and everything, then you can go for learning any JavaScript framework because that is really important right now. Go for React or Angular or Vue. Should at least know one JavaScript framework. Okay. Yes, tomorrow is the last day, guys. Tomorrow is the last day. PM, about your last question, I think the answer is on the screen, buddy. You can see that. Stack dev training. Yes. See, if you want to like get the complete Stack dev training, you can also join our advanced courses, Mithul. You can join our advanced courses where we teach everything from scratch. So if you want to learn the whole Stack development training, you can join our advanced courses. So you can go to letsupgrade.in and you can find like everything related to that particular course and you can join in, and there I'm going to teach you everything from scratch, the whole Stack development thing. Okay, and guys, about your calculator project, don't worry, tomorrow we'll learn DOM manipulation, and then I'll show you how to like work with your calculator. I'll also give you hints about how to work with the calculator, and then you can create it, so don't worry. Yes, Aswat, yes, I use that. Okay, so what's the difference between question mark and question mark? Okay, if you're talking about ternary operator, yes, in ternary operators you use question mark. It's just like an if and else. So don't worry, if you're like confused in that, I'll also show you ternary operator tomorrow. Don't worry about it. Okay. What is today's assignment? Assignment question and the whole content that I did today will be mailed to you. You guys have to register with the course. So everyone, you guys have to register in the course. So please, the link is in the chat. Click on it and register to the course. And all the things I'm doing here, all the content and the assignment questions will be mailed to you. Is that clear, everyone? Okay, Amritanshu, then he should also, like, if he wants to become a front-end developer, he should be at least be like really good in one of the frameworks. So tell him to learn any good framework like React, Angular, or Vue. And also, if you like work with SVGs, and also you should know how to work with the network part, how to like call APIs and everything. So he should now, if he knows HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, he should at least know one framework in the perfect way and one other framework at least normally. So two frameworks, one in the perfect way, one normally. And then he should also know about SVGs and a little bit about designing. And that should be enough about a front end developer. And tell him to also learn a version control like Git. So if he learns Git, then it will be a complete package. And he can easily get a job in front end development. That link is not supported. Jyotsna, is the link not supported? The what you call the registration link, is it not working?
No, sir, it's working perfectly fine. Just refresh the page, it will be working fine.
Okay. Okay. So guys, the registration link is perfectly working fine. So please go ahead, click on it and register yourself. So all the content and all the assignment will be mailed to you. Okay. 28th August, I think, yes, it will be 28th August. Yes. So the deadline of the assignment submission is 28th August. So you have to submit all the assignments by 28th August, everyone. Okay. Which one is easier, React or Angular? I think both are fine, but if you're like a proper JavaScript developer, React, you'll find React much more easier than Angular, because when you go for Angular, it becomes completely object oriented and uses TypeScript. So I think if you're coming properly from JavaScript, you will find React easier. But if you know object oriented programming, or if your background is Java and C Sharp or C++, you'll find Angular much more easier. But yeah, both are same, almost same. The concept are almost same. So if you learn one, the second will be easier. But if you're going from JavaScript, I'll suggest you to learn React first, and then Angular will become easier for you. Okay, guys. So that's it for today, everyone. That's it for today. Please register. Everything will be mailed to you. And I really hope to see all of you tomorrow again at 6 o'clock. I really hope to see all of you. And please also tell your friends to join in so that we can have more numbers and all of them can learn. Okay. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed the session, guys. Please let me in the chat. And I'll meet you tomorrow exactly at 6, where we're going to start with DOM manipulation. And we'll also create a really cool mini project. Is that clear, everyone? And if I'm unable to sound any doubts today, guys, please don't like worry about it. You can again come back tomorrow and ask your doubts. I'll be happy to answer. If I have missed any of the doubts, if I have not seen any of the doubts, please, guys, don't worry about it. Don't get sad. You guys can come back again and you can ask your doubts. And otherwise, the second way is, if I like see in YouTube, the chats go very fast. So one thing what again you can do is join the community. In the community, I'm always there. Put up your doubt, tag me, and just write my name there. It will be notified to me and I can solve it out. So if there is any kind of doubt that you want to ask, and maybe you have not asked here, if I have missed it, go on the community, post your doubt with my name, and I'll see that doubt and I'll solve it for you. Is that clear, everyone? Okay, so the assignment question and the content will be mailed to you. So please, everyone, register. Everyone, please, please, please register, and the deadline is 28th August. So that's it for today, guys. Bhavana, you can just go for LetsUpgrade.in. Sir, are you a gold medalist in India skills? Yes, Preeti. Yes, I'm a gold medalist in India skills. Yes. Okay. So everyone, that's it for today. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in and learning with me. And I'll see you tomorrow exactly at 6. So everyone, bye bye. See you tomorrow with more numbers, guys. Bye bye, everyone.